Good afternoon to all my beautiful followers. Happy Thursday. How you guys are doing on this beautiful day? I just wanted to come in here, show my face, say hello, and wish you all a happy, blessed, productive Thursday. A happy, blessed, productive, still brand new month of August 2025. Um, as you guys all know, I have introduced myself before, but I'm gonna do it again because I know every day I get more followers, I get more supporters, and I want to thank you guys first and foremost for allowing me to share my story and my testimony with you all. My name is Priscilla Heredia. I am a single mom of 3, grandma of 1, and I am also a survivor of child molestation and abuse. I was molested by my mother's husband at the age of 9 when my parents got separated at the age of 8. I grew up very lonely. My childhood was very lonely, very traumatic. Only with my parents. I didn't grow up with no brothers and no sisters. And unfortunately, at the age of 8, my parents got separated. And they sat me down, right? And they asked me with who did I wanted to stay. And I decided to stay with my dad. Because my dad, from both of them, my dad was the only loving parent that paid attention to me the most. My mother was always in her own world, whatever world that was. I decided back in September of 2023 to finally speak up, right? Speak up about what I went through as a child, as a young girl. And I first started with my children, 2 of my children. I have 3, 2 girls, 1 boy. They're all adults now. So the 2 that live with me is my son and my youngest daughter. And I sat them down and with all my fears, right? I sat them down and I finally spoke up, with tears in my eyes, shaking, nervous, sadness, everything that you can think of. I am currently 52 years old, so I've been carrying this since 41 years, right? Which is not easy. This is not an easy topic. This is not an easy feeling. This is not an easy thing to speak about, right? It's disgusting. It's the most disgusting thing for me that anybody can do. And specifically to a child. But I decided to share my story and my testimony starting with my children. After so many years of pain, suffering, silence, because again, I come from that generational trauma that we don't speak about the things that is happening in the house. We don't speak about the things that is happening in the family. My family, my parents, they're Dominican. They're Dominican, all of them. I was born in Puerto Rico and raised up in New York City. Raised up here my entire life here in New York City. But I know I'm not the only one that whatever happens in the family, whatever is happening in the family, we don't speak about. Oh, no. Or they just simply don't want to admit it. They don't want the world to know what's happening, especially these type of things that has happened to a child in the family. In my case, when I went through this first trauma, which was my parents separating after watching them fight and argue all the time, that's another trauma that I still have. And I'm very sure I'm not the only one. This is very important for all parents to not fight and argue in front of your children, because that is a trauma that still remains in us even when we get older. But in my case, like I said, I watch my parents argue and fight all the time. My mother, she was not a loving mom. Not to me. Not to me. She has 3 other children. They're all adults now. I didn't grow up with them. I know them, you know, but I didn't grow up with them. And you know what? It actually, at that age, 8 years old, I actually took a very good decision of choosing to be with my dad, which was the more loving parent of both of them. Because if I would have stayed with my mom, who knows what else would have happened to me, you know. But yes, my mother, always looking out the window with her attitude. She was not a loving mom to me. I never got no I love you from her, hugs from her. It was always she was always very angry, very whatever traumas probably she went through as a child, and whatever she was going through with my dad, all of that I kind of like experience, whatever, all of that. I got all of that anger and whatever it was that she was going through, that she went through as a child, and whatever she was going through with my dad in their marriage and their relationship, whatever it was, I pay the consequences for that. And again, I know I'm not the only one, which takes me to realize and know that I'm not the only one that went through this type of crime, because child molestation is a crime, and it should be punished. In my opinion, it should be punished. I don't care who it is, because the majority of the children molesters and abusers are close friends or family members, and many people that went through this type of crime was done by a family member or close friend. Yes, you have to be very vigilant with strangers, but with everybody, unless you really know for sure. And don't get me wrong, there are excellent fathers out there. There are excellent dads out there that will not do that to their children, right? But there is the other reality, the other disgusting and sad reality. And still today, our children are going through, so many children that are going through this type of crime, this type of trauma every single day. And you guys know that because y'all watch the news all the time. So again, I decided in September of 2023 to break my silence. And ever since I started this, I'm actually healing. But I still have a lot of traumas to heal. I'm not healed completely yet. God, my feeling of sick and tired of being shut down for so long. And another reason why I decided to speak about this, my kids and my grandbaby. I do not want my kids or my grandbaby to go through this type of crime. I do not want any child to go through this type of crime. And I know I'm not the only one that went through this type of crime as a child. And I know there's a lot of people suffering still today, just like I was, just like I'm still am. Because to be honest with you guys, I'm not completely healed yet. I'm working on that with God, with therapy, meditation, journaling, my therapy, my change of mind, my change of life. I don't want nothing to do. Well, my mother has not been in my life ever since. Anyway, ever since that age. My father, like I said, he took over. He raised me, right? My mother has not been in my life ever since. And the sad thing about it is that I was molested by her husband right in her house. She didn't even notice. She probably didn't even care. And knowing her, me knowing my mother, the way she is with me, she would not probably believe me that her husband did that disgusting thing to me. Every time that my father used to drop me off at her house, when she moved out from when they separated, when my parents separated, my mother went to live in an apartment basement, in a basement apartment. Her man used to be a super at a building, and the supers from the building, they give them an apartment in the basement. And I remember my dad dropping me off every time that, I guess, he had to go to work. And I was feeling so scared, so uncomfortable with these two grown-ups, with my mother. I didn't want to be with my mother and her husband. Every time that now I go to therapy and those memories come back to me, it's really, it's a horrible feeling, I am trying my best to heal. I am trying my best to heal. For me, for my kids, for my grandbaby. Because a lot of these traumas that, I gotta be real with you guys. A lot of those traumas that I endure as a child, all this anger, all this sadness, depression, all these traumas, I pass it down to my kids. I have been there with my kids. I have raised my kids as a single mom with God, of course. But, all that anger and all that, there's a lot of things that I know I got to work on me. And communication is one of the things. And when I started to speak up, like I said, I started with 2 of my kids. My oldest daughter, I'm pretty sure she does know, even though she has her life, and like I said, I decided to share my story publicly for the whole world to know. You know why? Because, again, I was shut down for 41 years, come from a generational trauma that we don't speak about these things that happen in the family. I decided otherwise. And it's helping me heal. It's helping me break all of this anger, all of this sadness, all of this depression, all every bad emotion that I have from what I went through. I want to be that voice. I want to liberate that little girl in me from what she went through. I want her to speak up. I'm actually doing it for her because nobody did absolutely nothing. Even though, they could have done something. My father, he sent me to Dominican Republic for 5 years. I didn't like to be over there. He sent me over there with my grandmother, his part of the family. I didn't like to be over there. I suffer a lot over there too. And I refuse to go back to the country. I will never go back. I really will not go back. So my father sent me to the Dominican Republic for 5 years. After I was molested by my mother's husband, I suffer a lot over there. And like I said, nobody did absolutely nothing. Nobody took me to no doctors. Nobody took me to no therapy. Nothing. And my father does know, because I did ask him that question. Finally, he gave me 2 versions. That yes, I did told him that I was feeling uncomfortable with my mother and her husband. And then he told me that he sent me to the Dominican Republic because there was a guy acting crazy in the rooftop in the building where we used to live at here in New York City. And he sent me over there kind of like protecting me from this man, because since he had to work and provide for me. So he sent me over there with my grandmother and my aunts. I believe the real truth, because I was 9 years old, going to 10. My 10th birthday was celebrated over there in Dominican Republic. And that was the first year that my father sent me over there. Then he returned me back. I finished elementary school. Back in my time, it was up to 6th grade. And then I went to junior high school, 7th grade. did 7th grade, passed to 8th, and then my father sent me back to Dominican Republic for 4 years straight. I suffer so much over there. I suffer so much over there. So yes, I decided to speak about what I went through as a child, because I had enough carrying these pains. I am trying my best to heal. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. But I know with God, everything and anything is possible, because when I took the leap of faith 4 years ago of leaving my job after 20 years of service, this is when I started my healing journey. This is when I started to like de-stress myself, and I decided to put myself in a healing journey. It's been 4 years. I decided to speak about what I went through as a child, first to my kids, and then now that I'm in this beautiful journey, content creator, after a lot of prayers, meditation, and sitting down with myself, I said, you know what? I have a story to tell. I have a testimony to share to the world. And I want to be an advocate for children. I want to be an advocate for my own little girl that didn't have nobody to speak for her, nobody to defend her, nobody did absolutely nothing for her. I don't want that for other kids. I don't want that for my grandbaby. Parents, watch your children at all times. Protect your children at all times, especially in these times. It's not only little girls that go through abuse, molestation, and all of that. Little boys go through that too. So please, please protect your children. Watch your children, especially in these times where there are so many pedophiles everywhere, anywhere and everywhere. Make sure that you get to know everybody that is surrounding your children. When your children start to speak, teach them how to speak up, especially when somebody is bothering them. Okay? Don't turn them away, because you never know what's happening, right? And if the children lose the confidence in mommy or dad, they are going to shut down just like I did. So please, parents, for the safety of our children, I know that a lot of us went through this type of crime, and so many children are going through this as well. And I'm wondering, when is this going to stop? When is it that there's not going to be no more molestation, no more abuse to children? None of that. When are we going to have a peaceful, happy, relaxed, that we don't have to watch our back for these pedophiles and these people that are mentally, I don't even know. When are we gonna have when are we gonna have that type of life, that type of world, when we are all in peace and serenity and harmony and happiness, and protecting our children, and not letting nobody abuse them? When is this gonna stop? I'm 52 years old with 3 grown children and 1 grandbaby. He's 4 years old. My grandbaby is growing happy, healthy. I'm loving the way my daughter and her husband is raising my grandbaby. I'm loving that. And that's what I want for my generation. The next one after me. I want my grandbaby and my great-grandbabies and my great-grandbabies to live a happy childhood, because our childhood is the foundation of everything. The environment where we grow in is the foundation of everything. if we are surrounded by happiness, understanding, that we can speak up, proper way. The children need to also, parents need to also, establish rules. But if something is happening, right, there is a way for you to teach your children how to speak to you without them, disrespecting you, right? Because we got to teach them. But it's two different things when the children are talking back to you versus when they are trying to speak up about something that is bothering them, speak about what's going on in their life. This is how you're going to get your children's confidence. This is how you're going to get your children's trust. I didn't have no trust in my mother. I didn't have no trust in my dad. My dad was very strict. And a little bit of violence too. I couldn't speak up. I shut down for 41 years. So please, watch your children, parents. Watch your children. Little girls, little boys. Your teenagers as well. I am going to continue to share my story and my testimony. I'm going to keep on spreading awareness to child molestation and abuse and advocating for children that go through this type of crime every single day. And it's getting worse. If we don't take action, if we don't protect our children and spread the word, child molestation is abuse. We need to protect our children and our teenagers. Human trafficking rings a bell. We hear it all the time in the news. Please, parents, watch your children. Protect your children at all times. Bye-bye. Until the next time.